If I would have tried to do this on my own, I would have undervalued it. I don't think I would have gotten to a deal. I'm good at what I do. It's not necessarily selling a business. I'm Mitch Mulert, and I sold my company with the help of True North. I sold from the ground up. We're a commercial landscaping company in Minnesota.
I'm Justin. I'm the founder and managing director of Cervano Capital. We just made an investment in From the Ground Up with the help of True North.
So my story was I started this up in high school as kind of a side gig to make money outside of sports and other jobs. Was gonna make the decision to go off to school or stick around, and I made the decision to stick with community college, local in Owatonna, and start to continue to build the business. So I had money to pay for school and kind of go with the debt-free mentality, and took a leap after we got through my 2 years of school of, hey, this commercial snow removal thing looks kind of fun. I like equipment. Went and threw a Hail Mary and put out a bunch of commercial snow bids to local customers, and ended up getting every single one I had sent out. So it justified going out and buying a brand new skid loader. Biggest purchase of my life, biggest leap of faith having a payment now. And so picked up the skid loader. We got a crazy good winter. It kind of grew from there. Middle of last summer, kind of getting the writer's block of being the owner of the business, thinking about scaling. And as we started to think about that, the how wasn't necessarily easy. Spent, the 10 years that we were in business, saving up cash and trying to build out a team of great employees. And the biggest risk of all was taking that cash on a brand new experience and potentially watching it go away and jeopardizing those employees that have helped us build the company. Looked at options of, bringing somebody on as an employee that maybe knew more about that, or looking at the option of selling. And, I'd heard of other landscape companies wanting to sell and kind of their journey with growing through a sale. And that's kind of when we made the jump and got a hold of Sunbelt.
It was critical to me that Mitch remain part of the business. I live in California. I'm an investor. I'm not an operator. I don't know how to do what Mitch does on a daily basis. I don't pretend to. I want to stay in my lane, doing what I know how to do well, and let Mitch do what he does well. From the Ground Up is my 5th portfolio company in, we'll call it facility services. We met for the first time early one morning in a Perkins, really got to know him at least a little bit, at that point. You can't, judge a book by its cover or judge somebody after the first meeting, but you can start to form impressions. We continued to dialogue, throughout the sale process. And then ultimately we pivoted those conversations to more about growth and how we're going to successfully grow the business. That helped solidify my desire to make the investment because I knew what I was getting into.
We had built something in our company with our employees. We're almost to the point of like being family. Like everybody enjoys coming to work, enjoys their coworkers. We have a great environment, and that's a big piece to our success early on was that culture. I needed to keep that in mind, and that needed to be, reflected in who we were having as a partner. After talking with Justin, we saw that he values that. There was no doubt in my mind that was going to be something he wanted to come in and change. And I knew it was a great partner, just based on who he was and what he was about. When I decided to partner with True North, I had gotten a business card in the mail, I think, or at a trade show, I believe. Reached out just to see what the process, how it all went and what resources they had for selling a business. Heard other brokers and got plenty of stuff in the mail from other companies. True North really stood out. Saw nothing but good things online, and their team, huge team of people that want to be surrounded around them. And I wasn't finding that with other people I had looked into.
I felt very confident with making the investment in the business with True North's involvement. They provided very professional materials, very transparent and comprehensive materials. They're not giving away what the seller's interests are because they need to first and foremost represent the seller, but they also made a strong outreach in partnership with me. I had a lot of confidence in making the investment. When a buyer has confidence in the business, the buyer is willing to pay more for it.
Probably how much stuff happens in a day-to-day with the business that you need to be able to provide information on. For us, it's just show up and do it, and then trying to get that on paper and providing all the resources needed to get you to where you need to be. Super uncomfortable feeling starting the process, but like I said, you get past the start and it was really good.
When a company goes through a sales process, it's somewhat common for there to be a slippage in performance. I can't put a number on it, but I have seen it frequently. And that slippage in performance can have a self-fulfilling prophecy of preventing a sale from occurring. Buyers are always looking for steady incremental growth. And if there's a hiccup in business performance, well, then that jeopardizes the deal. So it's really imperative, it's super imperative for a founder to first focus on business performance. But with the sale as important as it is for the founder and the founder's life, you got to focus on that too. And that's really why you need to have an advisor. And I think True North does a great job with that. The proof in this is actually in the post-closing performance of Mitch's company. We got the transaction done and business performance has not slipped at all. In fact, we're forecasting growth for next year and then even more growth the year after. True North did provide Mitch a lot of value so that he could focus on the business in addition to the sale process.
Now that we're done with it, my life hasn't really changed outside of work. Still get excited to go to work every day. Having somebody there to kind of help lead the path. The guidance so far has been great. A huge piece was the ideas that came from Justin in what he thought would be valuable to these employees. Incentive ownership for some of our key people, new bonus plans for our employees, and just the opportunities for growth and what this means for their future. We retained all of our employees, and it was a positive thing. If I would have tried to do this on my own, I don't think I would have gotten to a deal, or it would have drug out a long time, or wouldn't have been happy with the outcome, because there was no one there coaching you on what's normal, what's not, and what's good and what's bad. You're completely winging it, and I'm good at what I do. It's not necessarily selling a business. I would definitely recommend True North. Their process is so smooth at this point, and they've seen so many different scenarios, and they've seen different ways of selling a business, whether you want to stay on or don't. When I came in and knew I wanted to still be an owner, that was something they had seen and worked with many times. So they gave you lots of options. They paved the path of how this works. They kept it confidential. If something on my end didn't feel right and I talked to them, I knew that they weren't going to push me and they had a solution to work around it.